Engineer Gold Mines is focused on the exploration and development of the historic high-grade Engineer Gold Mine situated 32 kilometers southwest of Atlin, British Columbia. Engineer Gold Mines is fully permitted for surface and underground exploration with the drill program now underway. Engineer Gold Mines Limited trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol EAU. For more information, please visit us at engineergoldmines.com.
Welcome to the Goddard Report. Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Jordan Bateman, Vice President of Communications and Marketing for the Independent Contractors and Business Association in British Columbia. His website, icba.ca. Welcome back to the show, Jordan.
Thanks for having me, Jim.
Jordan, was it an unexpected blow that the Vancouver International Airport canceled their $460 million upgrade project?
Well, I mean, pre-COVID, it would have been very unexpected. Now that we're in the pandemic and have seen, the massive drop in passengers at YVR, which means a massive drop in flights, which means a massive drop in revenues, it's not terribly surprising to see them punt on some of these big construction projects. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because at some point there's going to be a vaccine, and at some point travel is going to recover, and that airport will be as busy as ever. Is it 2021? Probably not. 2022? Maybe. 2023? I would think most definitely. And, to see them punt on infrastructure projects, and we should be clear, this is the federal government punting, that's bad news for construction workers who, wanted to build those projects. It's bad news for future YVR employees. It's really another blow to tourism. And, 5-7 years from now, we may say, we may look at that and say, well, they actually artificially slowed tourism's recovery by not getting ready when we had the opportunity. So very disappointing for a number of construction contractors. ICBA, we have many members who work at YVR building improvements. So this definitely hurts them and hurts their workers.
The BC government has released its first quarter report. It must be pretty dismal.
Oh, it's, putting on my old taxpayer, Canadian Taxpayers Federation hat, it's a horror show. It's unbelievable, the drop in revenues, the bloated spending. COVID was unexpected, but, there are always things that happen that can trip governments up, and I'm not sure the NDP government were terribly well prepared for this. They had bloated their tax grabs, hiked taxes on job creators and on employers, spent like crazy, and, here we are now. We don't have the same flexibility we would have had to respond to a lot of these issues. So it's a $13 billion budget deficit now being expected for this year. Remember, this is a government that spends about $60 billion a year. So think of that, like you're overspending by, almost 20% of your overall budget. Employee numbers have bounced back, but not the way they thought. We're still lagging Quebec, for example, in unemployment rate. Retail sales have bounced back, but it's not uniform across the board. Many small businesses, I'm not sure how they're going to hold on. If you're a small retailer, you're very concerned about the future, and God help you if you're in any kind of tourism or hospitality industry.
Has there been any suggested government aid for the hospitality industry?
Still waiting. They claim they have $1.5 billion that they're planning to roll out to help businesses. They've been saying that since May, and still nothing there. Like, some of these numbers are really interesting, to see what sectors are being hurt. For example, employment by sector. So this is looking at the total change in BC jobs from February to August. Wholesale and retail trade, they've shed 34,000 jobs since February. Information, culture, and recreation, 25,000 jobs. Construction has shed 25,000 jobs. That's about 10% of the construction workforce. Other business building support services, 21,000 jobs gone. Hotel and food services, 14,500 jobs gone. Educational services, 12,500. Transportation, 12,000. Like, it just goes on and on. Real estate has lost 8,000 jobs. Unbelievably, healthcare and social assistance. You think we do, the jobs would be way up in those fields. No, they've lost 6,000 jobs. But don't worry, Jim. Public administration, i.e. government, basically flat. I've only lost 1,000 jobs in public administration and government, despite the fact that the provincial government, for example, is now running a $13 billion deficit. So it's unbelievable to me that, let's be clear, this is very much a private sector recession. The government bureaucratic fat cats, they're all sitting pretty here.
We'll have more with Jordan Bateman right after this.
Value from success, growth, and discovery. Golden Arrow Resources is a well-funded gold-copper exploration company with proven management and prospective properties in Chile, Argentina, and Paraguay. Golden Arrow trades on the Toronto Venture Exchange, symbol GRG, on Frankfurt, symbol G6A, and the OTCQB, symbol GARWF. For more information, visit us at goldenarrowresources.com or call Sean at 778-686-0135.
Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications. Patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Jordan Bateman. Jordan, what has the COVID rate been like among construction workers?
It's been really good. There's only been one adjudicated case by WorkSafe BC for the construction industry for COVID. I think there's been a dozen claims or so, but only one that has been successful. So it's clear that what construction sites are doing is working. We've been encouraging our members, we actually have a member email going out today, to step it up. Let's not get complacent. A second wave is coming. We're heading into cold and flu season. It's important that we take every measure possible to protect our workforce. So we're encouraging, even companies that have been very successful at managing this, to take get a fresh set of eyes on site, take a look and make sure that things are still being obeyed, see where you can improve systems. Let's continue to work hard to make things better on site.
What has made the construction business so successful in keeping their workers safe?
Part of it is just logistics, right? A lot of construction happens outside. That's very helpful. A lot of obviously many workers wear gloves constantly. That's helpful. Many workers wear masks. And certainly many work sites mandate masks every time you're inside a construction project. ICBA, we've been out to 20 different sites this summer, taking a look firsthand at, not just what they're building, but how they're building it. And I can say, I feel very safe when I walk onto a construction work site. I get briefed by the construction safety officer on all the precautions, including COVID. I get shown where the sink is. I wash my hands. There's hand sanitizer everywhere. You take the questionnaires. They go through all of those important processes. Many of them do temperature checks. So, they've very much added this to their overall safety record. And look, construction can be a dangerous industry if you don't do it properly, even without pandemics. So, we're used to, construction employers and workers are used to figuring out ways to make sure that, keeping each other safe. And that's been good news so far. So, yeah, it's been, quite successful. But we do want to make sure that our employers are stepping up this fall because kids go back to school, those kids come home, there's going to be more social interactions. We just want to make sure that construction workers are protecting themselves as much as possible.
Mm-hmm. Now, being a parent, are you happy with the measures that the schools have taken to get the kids back in class?
Well, I'll know better in the next couple of days. My grade 5 is there right now for a couple hours. My grade 9 and 12 go back today and tomorrow for an hour. So we'll know better kind of midweek next week. But look, schools have to reopen. We can protect them all we want from the pandemic, and there's lots of measures we can do to help them, to help protect kids and the staff in schools. The truth is there's a cost, ideally we'd all be in a, sealed bubble, never leaving the house, and no one would ever spread COVID to anyone else ever because we never interact with each other. But that's just not reasonable. And there'd be, there's already been huge mental health issues spin out of it. Opioid use and overdoses are way up. Police calls for domestic abuse and other issues is way up. These things, there's a social cost to, sealing us up in our homes and never letting us out. School, kids have to go back to school. Kids have got to continue learning. They've got to continue. We just can't doom a generation to a lack of education and social and peer supports that come along with that, simply because of this. So, I think we're all, watching so far. Lots of communications from the school district. I'm in Langley School District. Almost too much communication from the Langley School District on things. But we appreciate it, and we didn't hesitate in our house to send our kids back. They wanted to go back. They're excited to go back. My grade 5, then in grade 4, had gone back in June for a couple weeks to help, basically give some bodies in the school for schools to figure out some of these protocols. We're confident they'll be safe.
We'll have more with Jordan Bateman right after this.
Aven Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia and the Yukon, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the OTCQB, symbol ABNAF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Aven's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avenresources.com.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Jordan Bateman. Jordan, the provincial government proudly announced that they're finally going to start working on the Broadway subway sector. But it only goes to Arbutus. It doesn't go all the way to UBC, but it's a good start. But there's a lot of projects you were telling me off air that just haven't started yet, and you were expecting them to. Can you maybe tell us about that?
Yeah, well, the government's running around trying to get reelected, so they announce all these different things, but the proof is in the budget, right? You can announce anything you want, but if there's not a single dollar allocated to it in the budget, that isn't going to, it's not going to come to fruition. So, take Surrey, for example. Number of swing ridings, going to be definitely a battleground whenever this next provincial election is. Surrey's been promised a SkyTrain line. Surrey's also been promised a new Surrey hospital. There's not a single dollar in the budget for either of them. There's no construction money in the budget, including the update announced today by Carol James. Nothing in this budget for those projects. Massey Tunnel. They claim they canceled the Massey Bridge project, which would have been 2/3 done by now. Was tracking at $900 million under its $3.5 billion budget. They canceled it because it was Christy Clark's legacy, and John Horgan wanted to cancel it. Now, that was 3 years ago that he canceled it. Nothing has happened since then. There's not a single dollar in the budget for a Massey Tunnel replacement. Richmond, they've been running around announcing that they're going to add a Richmond acute care tower as major hospital expansion. Not a single dollar in the budget for that. So it's all smoke and mirrors. They talk about $10 a day daycare in their election platform from 3 years ago. Daycare spots, they've put in maybe 15% of the spots that they had promised to put in. They'll be held to account for this during the election campaign. Like, you actually have to have money in the budget before you can be given credit for actually moving a project forward. They have not done that.
Well, $10 a day daycare. I think this has been promised for 30 years, hasn't it?
Now, to his credit, Adrian Dix did not promise it in the election he lost.
Oh, okay.
He came flat out and said it would cost almost $2 billion and we can't afford it, which, got him in a lot of hot water with the $10 a day daycare lobby. Look, $10 a day daycare has been around so long that no one, even in the $10 a day daycare world, thinks it would be $10 anymore. I think even Quebec's vaunted system now is more like $20 a day. So that tells you how long this idea has been around. Look, there's no doubt childcare is an important thing to invest in. We've got to find a way to get more, to free up women to come back to work. Like, it's old-fashioned to say it, but, still in our society, women bear the brunt of childcare. They're often the ones sacrificing when kids are born, and staying home in those first few years, or reducing the amount of work they do in those first few years. Well, our economy can't afford that anymore. We need to make sure that anyone who wants to work, male, female, have the opportunity to do so, and childcare is a huge component of that. People should not be having to go to work and work 40 hours a week just to have enough money to pay for their childcare so they can go for those 40 hours. We've got to find a way to take that load off families.
Jordan, if you were sitting in the Premier's seat right now, what would you be doing to get BC's economy going again?
Well, I wouldn't be calling an election this fall in the middle of a pandemic, and shame on John Horgan for floating that idea and being willing to rip up his signed word to the Green Party and to the people of British Columbia. I think that's appalling. I think it's there's no one in this province who wants an election except John Horgan, because he happens to have helium in his polls due to the pandemic. From there, what would I do if I was running for your office? Like I said, I would invest in childcare heavily. I'd invest in infrastructure, get people building, get money into the economy working. I would be expediting tenders. I would be leaning on municipal governments to expedite any kind of private construction project. Quit throwing up roadblocks for these things. Let's get people working and out there. And I'd be coming in with a major package for tourism and hospitality. They've borne the brunt of this. Like we said at the beginning of the show, 35,000 jobs lost in tourism alone. They need help. And, BC's economy long term is going to, tourism is going to be an important component of that. We have to actually have tourism operators around in order to capitalize on that whenever the vaccine comes. So it's not pretty, but, it has to be done. We can't just keep fiddling around while, so many entrepreneurs crash and burn.
Studies have found it takes 4 times longer for a municipality in BC to approve a building permit for the Trans Mountain Pipeline compared to Alberta. Is that almost contempt of court, considering the Supreme Court of Canada said the project could go ahead?
It's that's an interesting angle. No, you're absolutely right. Look, just in general, municipalities take far too long to approve projects. There's think of Little Mountain social housing project in Vancouver. It's been a decade since that started the process. They still aren't fully built. It takes too long. So find a way to cut red tape. Find a way to cut development cost charges. Let's get these projects going, because they're important ways to spur the economy on. And heaven knows the BC economy needs every dollar it can to get rolling.
Jordan, anything else you'd like to tell us before we wrap up the interview?
One thing we should also talk about is, we're seeing major drops in revenue to government, because of COVID. And, it gives you a better picture into exactly what's going on in the economy. So, sales taxes, for example, just the PST, it's going to underperform by about $1 billion this year. And that tells you people aren't buying as much stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of technology sales, but there isn't as much clothing sales. And, those are big parts of the economy. Natural resource royalties, they're down $250 million. Income taxes are going to be down more than $2 billion, according to the update today. Like, that is actually a pretty stirring picture, right? In a good year, normal year, we expect $16.5 billion to come in from individuals in income taxes. This year, we're expecting 14.4, 2.1 billion less. And that tells you how many people are out of work, how many people have seen their hours reduced, how many people simply don't have the kind of income that they were expecting. And behind those $2.1 billion are a lot of people who are hurting, who are very concerned about their future, who are desperate to get back into the workforce. Government's got to step up and find a way to help them.
Jordan, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Thanks for having me.
My guest has been Jordan Bateman, Vice President of Communications and Marketing for the Independent Contractors and Business Association. His website, icba.ca. If you have any questions for Jordan or any of our other guests, you can send them to info@HowStreet.com. Our YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. Find us on Twitter at Talk Digital Net. We're also on Facebook. I'm Jim Goddard. Thank you for listening.
Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. The Goddard Report is available online and mobile at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. The Goddard Report is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.